Alright, welcome back. Now I'm going to show you guys the last step. Alright, so you needed your dough about 10 minutes. 5 minutes with an initial addition of the yeast, and then another 5 minutes with the salt. So you have your dough right here, and it should be a lot different in consistency than you first started. It should be really smooth, really nice, and I'm not going to get into too much detail of how it should exactly be because that's a little bit more advanced, but on a basic standpoint, this is what it should look like. It should be pretty soft, and you know, this is pretty much ready to go. All you're going to have to do is let it rise for about an hour, and then you can make breadsticks, pizza. So a basic motion, what you can do for rounding, which is pretty much impossible to do with one hand with a dough ball this size, is basically you want to tuck the dough all into one central point at the bottom. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. The process is called rounding. With a smaller dough ball, you can kind of tuck it in with the bottom of your palm, like so. But with something this size, it's pretty much impossible to do with one hand. But I'm going to do it real quick with both my hands. I'm going to set my phone down for a second. So let me give a little bit more thorough explanation of what I just did. Basically, you want to tuck the dough all into one point at the bottom, and whether you use both hands, like the bottom of your palm, like both of them, to pinch the dough together, like so. Do this kind of motion with both your hands to pinch the dough into one central point at the bottom. You're going to flip it over and kind of flatten it out. This is what I like to do when I'm separating my dough balls. So I usually flatten it out, something about that shape, and I'll get a knife like this, and we're going to divide this. Usually I find this makes about 4 good pizzas, so I'm going to split this into 4 different portions. Alright, so that's the 2 right there. The thing with dough is you never want to rip it with your hands, because that's just going to mess up those gluten strands that you develop. It's going to tear them. Think of them as little rubber bands. So we're going to divide it into 4 different pieces. And this is about the kind of size dough that I can manipulate with one hand. Maybe not on a table like this. This one's kind of flimsy, but basically you push with your palm into the bottom of it. It's a technique. Dough balls, like so. And use the same technique that I talked about at the beginning. You're pretty much tucking in the dough into one central point at the bottom. And what this is doing, it's stretching those rubber bands that we developed so they can grow and rise. And so you're going to want to make little dough balls like that with all 4 pieces. And once you do that, I mean, basically all you do is set them in the fridge overnight, or you can leave them at room temperature for an hour, and they will honestly double in size. And all you have to do after that is toss them on your cutting board with a little bit of flour and roll them out with a rolling pin. And you can make breadsticks, pizza dough. Sometimes what I like doing is, you know, flattening out one dough ball, getting another dough ball, flattening it out as well, and if you kind of like thick crust like a deep dish, actually putting them on top of each other and then rolling them out. And you can cook them in a cast iron pan. I like to roll them really thin also, and or you can roll them really flat for breadsticks, put your toppings on, fold them in half, you know, and then cut in your breadstick shape if you like stuffed breadsticks. But that's basically all you need to know to make dough. I mean, just make these little dough balls, let them rise for an hour at room temperature, or just leave them in your fridge overnight, and the next day you'll be ready to make some pizza. And that's about it. I'm going to keep drinking and post these videos on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening.